Today, Baba is telling us that Baba needs a promise from us, and we know that whatever Baba wants from us is for us. So, Baba says, you must promise to give me all your vices. You must promise to not perform any sinful action. Do you think you understand? You are able to discern every sinful act? Yes, because I think the most complicated, or the most, that thing which needs a lot of discernment is the difference between a punya karma, an act of charity, and a sinful act. Yes, so at all levels, there are, at every step, if you see, there are sinful acts and there are charitable acts. And we should have, Baba's knowledge only gives us the discernment and understanding. So Baba has spoken the Sakar Murlis through the mouth of Brahma Baba, which we study from Monday to Saturday. And those Murlis give you very clear understanding of what is a sinful act and what is a charitable act. Yes, for example, we did not know that, exchanging money or giving and taking from souls who engage in vices is a sinful act. But now we understand that. Yes, or we understand that engaging in lust is a sinful act, which we had no understanding about earlier. Or when you are in fear, it's a sinful act. So living in fear, living with negative thoughts of fear is a sinful act. We didn't know this earlier. So there are many things that we didn't know earlier, but every day in the Murli, Baba explains and clarifies, and this is why understanding is always given in the Sakar Murli. Of course, Baba gives us a lot of deep insights in the Avyakt Murli of Sunday, but every day Murli gives us the understanding about Punya Karma, Pap Karma, or what effort we should make, and everything is clarified by Baba. So Baba says we should not perform any sinful acts, and we must give that as a promise to Baba. Yes, and Baba says, why do we need to give that promise to Baba? Because Baba gives a very interesting example that when you are in the womb and you are receiving punishment, yes, then what do? You make a promise to Dharmraj that once I come out, just take me out, I will not perform any more sin. Yes, so, and have you seen that, when children make mistakes and they are being beaten up, then they will say, oh, okay, leave me, I'll not do it again, I promise. So it is that thing. So Baba says here also you have to promise because you are in great sorrow and you want to come out of that sorrow. So what is the promise that Baba wants us to make is that you will not perform any sinful act. And then Baba says, you will not receive any punishment. You will be in a world of happiness for 21 births. And this is the promise that Baba wants us to make. Now, today Baba is mentioning the story of King Harishchandra. Yes, so King Harishchandra was a figure in Indian mythology, and I will tell you the story of King Harishchandra because that is the story that Baba is referring to today. So it so happened that King Harishchandra was renowned for not going back on his words. So if he promised something, he would do it. That was famous about King Harishchandra. So if he promised something, he would not go back on it. He was called Satyavadi. So the one who always lived by his word. So whatever he said was true. He lived by it. And then what happened is his quality of truth was put to test by sage Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra was a sage, a rishi, and he decided to test the purity or the truth of King Harishchandra. And what he did was he came into his dream and asked King Harishchandra to donate all that he had. So King Harishchandra donated everything in his dream. It was not, in an awake state. He just donated it in his dream. And then next morning, sage Vishwamitra, he appeared and he reminded him of his dream. And because this king had a memory of that dream, so he didn't deny it, because he never spoke anything false. So he accepted that, yes, I had donated. And then so he gave all his kingdom and treasury to the sage. But then sage Vishwamitra said, no, this is not enough. You still have to pay this much. Okay, so he mentioned a certain amount. And then this King Harishchandra, he went to Kashi with his wife and children and sold his wife and children in slavery so that he could raise that money. And he sold himself to, work in the cemetery. So that way he raised that money. And then so there was a lot of test, you see, because the wife underwent the test, the child, and then because he worked in the cemetery also, it was a very difficult life that he chose because he wanted to live by his promise. And then later his son died. And when the son died, he was brought to the cemetery and the wife did not have money to pay for his funeral. So he refused to perform the last rites if the fees was not paid. So then after that scene, all the deities appeared and then God said that you have passed the test, because this was a test. And so they returned everything to him. So this is the story. Now, Baba tells us that you also have to understand the story of King Harishchandra. So you see that Baba says, you promise to me that you will give up all your vices, you will not engage in any sinful act. But just like King Harishchandra, it's not that you promised and that's the end of it. Or you promised and you gave and that's the end of it. Because you will be put to test. Okay, because you see, if situations are ideal, then it is very probable that you will not fall back on your promise. But have you really promised? Are you that strong on your promise? So for that, you will be tested. And Baba says, Maya will test you. Just like, King Harishchandra was put to a lot of tests. So Maya will test you in many ways. There will be many storms, both internal and external, that will come to test you, of attraction, of repulsion. So many things will come. And they will put you to test that you have actually given up. You have actually given up on the vices and you're not taking them back. So let's say, for example, you have given up the vice of lust. Okay. But then until you gave up the vice of lust, nobody really was trying to entice you. But now that you've given up on the vice of lust, there will be many opportunities where many people will come and entice you. And then you have to, even not have a thought of lust. Yes, I will tell you one incident. So there was this one Mata, and her husband used to beat her up like anything. So before Gyan. And then she came into Gyan and she was very happy to find out Baba. But the husband also started going for some therapy. Okay. And then he changed and he became the nicest, kindest, most caring person in the world. And he just kept apologizing for his behavior. And it was not coming from a false place. It was very genuine. He had become a very good person. And then he kept saying that, I miss you, and why did you go to God, and now I want to start over. I want to have a very good relationship again. And this became such a big challenge for her because, again, dealing with the thoughts of lust and attachment, because, that thing, that because there was this residue of lust and attachment and the desire for lust and attachment. But when she came to Baba, there was no opportunity. So she just promised to Baba, but later there was so many opportunities that she said, Didi, I don't know whether this, but that it was very interesting that she was aware that this is Maya. And because she came and told me all this and said that, Didi, this is Maya, and I understand that I don't have to again go back into that Lokik relationship. I just have to keep it as a relationship, a spiritual relationship. And then, and she won also, which was very good, like very giving happiness to watch. So I felt very happy seeing her win in that battle. So Baba says that Maya will come. Maya will come in many ways. So, and Baba says that those who promise to give away their vices, they will engage, they will encounter situations of, this is a situation where Maya comes as attraction. Then there are some situations where Maya comes as fear. So there will be situations where you will be threatened. You will feel like, if you don't take up the vices, then you will face great loss. So there will be so many things. But Baba says, if you have given up body consciousness, then these fears and attraction will not, trouble you. But if you're still body conscious, then you will get affected by this attraction and fear. And then you will start engaging in sinful actions. And then Baba tells us that and then you see there are thoughts, there are storms of Maya which never came, but they suddenly come. Yes, so when you give up on vices, so you will feel that, I didn't have this thought until now, but now why is it driving me crazy? So, there was one brother and he had, so his wife had died when he was 30 years of age, and he raised his son alone. And when he came into Gyan, he was 55 years of age. And at that time, he told me, so when I was giving him the course, so at that time, he said that, Didi, I have full control over my senses because I have been celibate for 25 years and I have, raised my son alone. And so I said, good for you. So then, later he said, why are these thoughts of lust coming to me after I came to Gyan when I have been following celibacy for 25 years without any trouble? So I said, this is because earlier you did it because of your circumstances. Now you're doing it for Baba. So Maya will test you, because you are committed to your circumstances. Are you that committed to Baba? So now when you have, when these thoughts are coming, so just like, earlier you thought, my son is young and I have to take care of him, and that was your reason, so I cannot distract myself. But now when your son is settled, and now when you don't have any other engagement and these thoughts are coming up, so do you have that much commitment to Baba? So then he said, okay, so this is about that. So I said, yes, this is about that. So Maya will challenge you in many interesting ways. And then, one starts wondering, where did this sanskar come from? And I did not have this. And why is this coming? And then it will create doubt in your mind that, why is this happening now when, for so long it was not there. But do you know what's there inside you? 63 births of sanskars you don't even know, and how they emerge. So Baba says Maya will bring you many storms, and Maya will bring you such storms that you will not even relate to them, that, why is this happening to me? And that why. So Baba always says, be free from why, how, when, what. But then this also becomes a very big why, question mark. And question mark takes away all your happiness. So, this challenge will come up. And just like King Harishchandra had to pass all challenges for him to again go back to the kingdom, so we also have to pass all challenges. And then Baba says, you will go back to your kingdom. And not just a limited kingdom, but 21 births of purity, peace, happiness, prosperity, everything. Now, Baba tells us today that one interesting thing is having the concern that if you again perform sinful action after having promised to Baba, then you will incur a lot of sin. Yes, and this concern that I don't want to incur a lot of sin is also a good method to keep yourself safe from performing sinful action. Yes, so so this is not fear. This is a good thing. It's not. It's a concern. So do you know the difference between a fear and a concern? So a fear is psychological. A concern is real. Yes, and you should be concerned. Yes, so if I'm afraid of something I can't control, then that is called fear. But if I am afraid of something that is going to have consequences, and that being afraid saves me from engaging in the action that takes me to those consequences, then that is concern, and that's a good thing. Yes, for example, so I will tell you one thing. So there was this one Mata, and when she came into Gyan, she understood Gyan very quickly, and she started coming to, like, she was regular and punctual and everything. So then one day I asked her, what did you understand which made you regular, and what is it that you got? Because I can't put a finger on it. So she said, Didi, I don't like the family I have right now. So I feel like, they are giving me a lot of sorrow. And now I have understood that if I don't want to have them again, then I have to do something about it now. And I don't want them again. I am very scared of the idea that if I don't change my sanskar now, I will end up with the same people tomorrow. Okay, so I don't want these same souls with me in my next birth. So I want to do something different and be a different person so that I don't end up with them. So that is a good thing. It's not a bad thing, because you see, that is a law that if you don't change yourself, then you will end up with the same relationships or similar relationships, because you are not settling your karmic accounts with them, and they will continue. And if something is true and you are wary of it, that's a good thing, because being wary of it will discourage you from doing that which will make you end up in that situation. So Baba says, being concerned that if I don't, if I engage in sinful action now, then I will have to pay a lot of price for it, or I will endure a lot of punishment for it, is a good idea. So you must hold that in your awareness. And whenever, even when storms come, you must know that, this one fear will stop you from engaging in sinful actions. So this is one interesting yukti that Baba is giving us today. That, you have this concern that I don't want to increase my punishment. So I don't want to perform any sinful action. So even if there is a lot of storm in your mind, just overcome it with the power, the love, and light of Baba. And Baba today also talks about, how some children promise Baba and they try very hard to live up to that promise of not engaging in vice, but still fall because they don't understand that you need power to keep up your promise. Just like, in the story of King Harishchandra, he was renowned to have the power of truth. So that power of truth made him, live up to that promise. Similarly, Baba tells us that what is your power? How will you stop yourself from performing sinful actions when Maya drives you crazy? At that time, you have to have a lot of power of yoga. So Baba says those who just promise and don't pay attention to having yoga power, they are living under a rock. And, one day they will realize that Maya has just uh, made them fail because they didn't have the power to discern Maya also. And they just keep living in this ego that, I've given vices to Baba. But they keep performing those sins also because Maya betrays them. And in order to discern Maya, in order to overcome Maya, you need a lot of yoga power. And you should have the understanding that without yoga power, so those who are concerned about not performing sinful action, they have to be concerned about doing yoga. If you're doing one and not the other, that means you don't have proper knowledge. Yes, so I remember there was this one brother, and he was a Kumar, a student, and he said, I love Baba, and I just want to belong to Baba, but now I can't attend classes because I have school and this and that. So I said, no, you cannot belong to Baba without taking power from Baba. Even if you want to belong to Baba, your want has to be, your want has to be complemented with the effort that makes you belong to Baba. Because if you don't follow Baba's timetable, if you don't do yoga, if you don't fill yourself with the jewels of knowledge, you will that feeling also that you are a soul and you belong to Baba will fizzle out. So Baba says that you must understand that intention is important, determination is important, but it has to be backed with effort. If you don't fill yourself with yoga power, then Maya will consume you and overthrow you. So this is about the promise that Baba wants us to make. And how many of you made this promise? Yes? So how many? Raise your hand that I will not perform any sinful action and I've given the vices. So do you know that if you haven't promised, Baba has also promised nothing to you. So Baba today says, first you take the step. Okay, the law is you first. Okay, so you see, Baba is everybody's parent. Every soul is Baba's child. But who will get the inheritance? That is decided by this law. The one who takes the step first. Okay, so if Baba had to decide who to give the inheritance to, so Baba had to give it to everybody. But then not everybody will receive 21 births of inheritance. And why? Because there is this law that the one who takes the step according to Baba's Srimad will get the inheritance. So Baba is bound by this law. So if you don't promise, Baba can promise nothing, although Baba is the parent. And you see, this law is very interesting because in the story of Sudama, this law is shown. In the scriptures, there is the story of Sudama and Sri Krishna in which this law is shown. And how is this law presented there? That Sudama was Sri Krishna's friend. And he lived with Sri Krishna all his life. You know, eating, playing, waking up, doing everything with Sri Krishna. But Sri Krishna never gave him anything. He was a poor person, very poor, you know, stuck in poverty. And Sri Krishna was depicted as God, but God did nothing to pull him out of his poverty. Although he was a friend, he used to, be with Sri Krishna all the time, play, eat, everything. But never did he come out of his poverty. But when Sudama decided to give one handful of rice to Sri Krishna, then he promised him palaces because the handful of rice was all he had. So Baba says, until you take the first step of surrender. So first is surrender the vices. Then there is surrender of body, mind and wealth. So until you surrender the body, mind and wealth, I cannot surrender the 21 births of inheritance to you. So Baba is bound by this law. Okay, so if you have not promised either body, mind and wealth or vices to Baba, you have to do it, because otherwise that negotiation is not happening. That soda or that transaction is not happening. Okay. Then today Baba talks about one new thing in the Murli, which is Baba says mischievousness is not a divine quality. Okay, and Baba says that in the scriptures, Sri Krishna is shown as being mischievous and stealing butter and troubling the women in the in the village. So he's shown doing all those mischief. And Baba says that is an insult, because mischievousness is not a divine quality. And this is something you have to think about, because many people think that mischievousness is a divine quality. Yes, and if you read or listen to the descriptions of Sri Krishna's activities in the Bhagavad, then he's always telling his mother, please get me married, or he's saying that he's going and stealing butter from everybody's home, and then he's lying, and then he's manipulating. So all these things are shown in a very cute way. And then, you think that this is a divine quality because it has been presented like that. And, this is called the glorification of vices. So, if something is not divine, but you give it the form of divinity, then it gets the reputation that it is a divine act. Yes, for example, when you are killing in the name of nationalism, then because it is in the name of nationalism, it becomes a very patriotic act. But it is ultimately killing. So this is how, vicious acts are glorified. So when you give a bowl of somras to the deity Shankar, and then he's drinking it, then alcoholism is glorified. So this is how these things are done. So Baba says that you have to see through the glorification and see the act and understand that this is not a divine act. And you see, these days when children act all cute but are very rude, people like it. And when children are lying, or they are because it's the face of a child, so you find that very cute because you are associating it with the scriptures you have heard. But Baba says this is not divine. So anybody lying or stealing or anything in any form is not a divine act. And Baba says you should be able to see through the glorification and understand that this is not the quality of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is the Prince of Satyug, and Sri Krishna is completely Maryada Purushottam. He's complete. He has boundaries of everything. So he wouldn't engage in any kind of mischievous act. Yes. So I remember there was this one child, and his mother had brought him to the center, and little child, one and a half, 2 years old, and he was in the lap, and whenever she would feed him anything, he would just blow it out and spit. And everybody in the family found that very cute. And when you find something cute, you are encouraging it. And when other people around you are happy, then you feel encouraged, because as children you are reading into subtle signs. You feel encouraged because of that. And the child would just throw all the food out, and he would spit and blow. He would just blow that food out of the mouth. And then the mother said, my child is very cute. And I said, yes, he's very cute, he's Baba's child, but you should not encourage him. So he said, no, we are not encouraging. So I said, but you're not discouraging either. You're not discouraging with your, you are enjoying it, and he's feeling encouraged. So don't do that. So there are many kinds of belief systems that we are carrying, which are very subtle, and we need to be aware of them so that we can check and change them. So Baba says this mischief is not a good idea. And these days, if you're not mischievous, what are you? You're boring and nobody likes you. Yes, so boring is good. Yes, you don't have to be that entertaining that it qualifies as mischievous. All right, Om Shanti. Anybody wants to share anything, please do.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Yesterday I was thinking every hour so much remembrance task is there. I have to be so much aware about it. If I leave all my vices, then still will I have to remember this much. This task will go till end. And today Baba gave the answer. Even if you stay pure, still remember Baba.
Yes.
Otherwise body conscious will return.
Correct. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Devi.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
I liked 2 points today. The first you said is intention, determination, and it has to be backed up with
effort.
Yeah. So the intention is I want to remain viceless. In the determination, I refrain from any kind of vices. And it has to be backed up with the effort that no matter whatever test comes, I will stay without...
no, effort is having yoga.
Okay.
Effort is the effort of maintaining a chart of remembrance. So when you fill yourself with that power of yoga, you will be able to overcome the storms. Okay, so that is the effort.
And having that concern that if I perform this sinful act, then there's no negotiation happening.
No, that's not happening. Yes. So Baba says those who promise will be promised.
Today also we are remaining we are refraining ourselves from doing so many things, and despite of doing everything and then not getting it, it is act of stupidity.
Correct. And you see, Baba says you will get something, but you deserve everything. So if you do everything, you will get everything. So why not do everything? You know, a good student feels bad when they receive 99. So you don't want to be, stuck at 99. You want to get 100. Okay.
And the second point I liked today is Baba says that I understand to renounce all your vices, it's not that easy. Yeah. And that's why I was just thinking, Didi, that had it been a small act, like just a common work, he could have done it anyhow.
Right.
But then he himself decides to come on this earth because he understands that this is not a small act.
Yes, it is not, and Baba is giving us the power to do it. But we have to keep taking the power and keep doing it consistently. Only then we will overcome. Okay. Om Shanti. Okay. Yes,
Good morning, sister.
Oh, good morning, sister.
I just have a question. It may be a dumb question, but at the same time, I just want to make sure whether I'm doing the right thing.
No question is dumb, first of all. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So we keep saying that we have to remember Baba in all the situation, but like, how can we, like, what do you think? Do we have to think a light or just think some superpower as above us helping us to do, or just to thank the superpower, or how do you keep in remembrance, in the sense, since we all are coming from the bhakti mark, we see the statue or the ling or something like that. Do we need to associate our thoughts to that, or?
Okay, so Baba gives us his introduction. Yes, that Baba is a point of light, but Baba is a point and an ocean. So just think about what is a point and an ocean. So in a point, there is an ocean of purity, ocean of peace, ocean of love. Just like you see, there is so much data in a small pen drive. Yes, similarly, there is this whole ocean contained in a point. And that point of light, Baba, who is an ocean, lives in the soul world, in the world beyond. So remembering Baba means you feel that you are leaving this world, leaving this body, you are a star of light, you're flying above, and then in the beyond, when you reach the world of light, which is the soul world, there you sit in front of Baba, and Baba's rays are coming to you, and those rays you are absorbing, and as you absorb that light, that peace from Baba, you are also getting colored in that light and peace. Okay? Yes, so this is the first step you take, and then slowly, gradually, you will understand deeper and deeper things.
Sounds good. Yeah, very good explanation.
Yes, so
sister.
start
Thank
with
you so
this.
much.
Okay, thank you.
And as you said, based on today's lesson, that's so true. We try to give up something, but Baba keeps us testing us.
Yes.
That too in family life, definitely. I can see, every time we try, challenges comes, we fail and again try. So family life is the best place to practice, I believe.
Of course.
We get always constant challenges. That is so true.
Yes.
Also, sister, I have some personal question. Maybe I can ask you separately, or
you can message, fix up a time, we can talk, and I can answer your questions.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, sister.
Okay, Om Shanti. Thank you.